You had a traumatic event happen in your life. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe you lost a loved one. Or you had a serious health challenge. Or you had something happen in your family that set your life spinning out of control. The last time that I had a traumatic event in my life, a major traumatic event, was April 23rd, 2011. My wife and I got up that morning, looked outside, and the sun was shining. We decided that would be the first day of the riding season. We rode a Honda Shadow 750, and we enjoyed many trips on this motorcycle. Well, that particular morning, we got on the bike, put all our gear on, and headed out down the highway. And it was going really great. The wind was blowing in our faces, and the sun was shining. It was beautiful. Until a car ran a stop sign from a side road and gave us no place to go but to smash right into him. And my head landed right underneath that car with multiple breaks down the right side of my body. We were airlifted to Royal Columbian, and the story continued from there. But I want to say to you that that's not the end of the story. Because what I learned through a long process of recovery and difficulty and suffering was it's possible to bounce forward after you've experienced trauma. And that's the hope that I give to you in this short video today. That when life hits you hard and you're not able to bounce back, there is a way to bounce forward. Everybody has trauma in their life. In your lifetime, my lifetime, we'll have 6 to 8 traumatic events happen to us. So you've either had one, or you're in a traumatic time right now, or you can be sure that trauma is coming in your life. So this is for you. And I want to give you 3 concepts, 3 principles, 3 ideas, ways that you can actually bounce forward when trauma hits you. The first thing that I learned that I needed to bounce forward was I needed a purpose. It's been said that when you lose your why, you lose your way. When you lose your why, you lose your way. When you lose that sense of purpose, that sense of why am I here, then we tend to really go south in a hurry. When I woke up in ICU 2 days after the accident, because I had no memory of the accident and I was in an induced coma while they were operating and working me over during those hours. But when I woke up 2 days later, my why was hanging by a thread. And that thread was, I believed that I was going to bounce back. I didn't really know how serious it was. I mean, it was serious. I almost died, but I just thought I'd be back to running and back to working in no time, just a few months. Well, 4 months in, I'm with my physiotherapist going through my treatment, and he looks at my leg and he notices, you've got fluid building up in your leg here. You're a mess. So I went back to the hospital, checked myself back into Royal Columbian. And sure enough, the infection I got off the highway, a very bad bacteria, was fully alive in my leg at that point. So I had my 4th surgery, and I remember going through that very difficult surgery, and then I was back home in my recliner where I would learn to be that I actually stayed for 5,000 hours by the time it was all over. I had no purpose. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why this had happened. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do now because it was going to be a lot of waiting. But as I sat there and as I said a prayer, God helped me. It didn't take too many hours before I realized, you know what? I can actually make a difference in people's lives from this recliner. So I went to work on that purpose, and it changed everything and helped me to bounce forward. So you bounce forward with having a why, having a purpose. You also bounce forward when you have realistic optimism. William A. Ward, he said that the pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, but the realist adjusts the sails. I'm an optimist by nature, I'll admit. Things will always get better is what I tend to believe. But what I came to realize in this situation where my recovery went on for days and months and years, that optimism alone wasn't enough, because it fades eventually. I also needed this realism, the ability to adjust my sails, the ability to deal with my harsh reality, to deal with the suffering, the sleepless nights, the pain, the multiple surgeries, of which I had 10. And with that realistic optimism, however, I was actually able to bounce forward one baby step at a time, believing things would improve, yes, but learning to deal on a daily basis with what I was experiencing. So bouncing forward has to do with having a purpose. It has to do with having realistic optimism. And thirdly, bouncing forward has to do with having healthy connections. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. When I woke up after those 2 days of them putting me back together, I was surrounded by family and friends who loved me and were with me through my journey. And I'm so thankful for that. But you know what I also realized is they were there, but I also needed to let them into my life and to cultivate the healthy connection that was there for me. And because I was able to allow them, because I let them into my life, they took me places, they spent time with me, and it helped me to bounce forward. But I also learned I needed to go out and find people and encourage people and build healthy connections as on my own initiative. And what I would realize is if I sat at home all the time in my recliner waiting, I'd become isolated. So I'd get up off my recliner and hobble down the stairs, get on my electric scooter, and go out into the neighborhood. And one of the neighbors I met while I was waiting was another fellow that was also on a scooter. And we would meet, and I got to know him, and I heard his story, his struggle with Parkinson's. He heard my story and my latest surgery and what I was going through, and we were able to encourage each other. And I would come home energized. I'd come home having bounced forward just a little bit more. So I want to say to you that if you have gone through something, you're still going through it, or you know that something will come in the future, if you can build into your life these habits where you're learning on a regular basis to have and live your life with purpose, to adopt a mindset that has realism and optimism combined, and that builds into your life those healthy connections, then you, like me, will learn and be able to bounce forward when the stuff of life comes and hits you hard. But there is hope. There is a pathway. There is a way for you and I, with courage, to move forward after those traumatic events. And may you be able to do that like I have. Thank you.